Hey there, this is Dr. Sean Tracy with New Life Healthcare, and I wanted to thank you for reaching out to us about your health concern. Now, before you come in for your initial appointment, I wanted to take some time to explain a little bit about what to expect for your first appointment here, what it is that we do that makes us unique and different, how we're going to be taking care of you, and what your next steps are. Now, I know a lot of you have probably tried some different things in the past, or maybe this is your first stop towards resolving your health concern. But I want to make sure you have a clear understanding of what we'll be doing together. So at your first appointment, when we sit down, we'll have a conversation about what you're dealing with, what you've tried, and what your goals are. I really want to understand how it's affecting your daily life and what you want to see for yourself in your future. From there, we'll start with any exam and x-rays, and I got to make sure that you're a good fit for our program, that we're able to help you, right? And so that's what that initial sit-down conversation's for. Now, as far as how we take care of patients and how we get people well, we do things a little different. I'm not doing the traditional twisting, cracking, popping. We'll do that as needed, but really where we start and focus on is that top bone in the spine, the atlas. My goal here is to create a system, a program in which you don't feel like you constantly have to come back for a little bit of relief, rather that you're in control of your own spinal health and get to take that forever for the rest of your life, that you don't need us constantly. So how we start, where we start with that is we focus on that top bone in the spine, the atlas. So when you're looking at this model here, here's the base of your skull, here's your neck going down. And the reason we focus here first is that this bone is unique from every other bone in the spine in that it's designed to move. So when you turn your head side to side or you nod your head up and down, the majority of the motion occurs right here. As a result, this bone is not locked in place like the rest of them. If you look at the rest of the spine going down, they have all these small joints keeping them in place. This top bone doesn't have that. Therefore, it can actually shift out of alignment more than any other bone in the spine, right? And so our concern is if you're looking from the top down and you see this nice, good open space, any small amount of shift here starts to create a decrease in that space. It starts to pinch down on that space. Well, our concern is that our brainstem, our brain's connection to the entire rest of the body goes right through this area. So if this bone shifts or rotates enough to where it starts to cause compression or torsion or inflammation around the brainstem, your brain's ability to effectively control, coordinate, heal, balance, maintain the rest of the body starts to be interfered with. And what we'll see with things like that, for example, are, one side of the lower back's always a little bit tighter than the other. And now it's pulling the hips unevenly and it's making one leg look shorter than the other. And as a result, you're doing all your activities, your daily living on this uneven, unbalanced surface. And so things start to wear down and break down, or they can't just ever fully heal on their own. It'd be like if your car alignment's off, you put enough miles on that car, eventually one of those tires is gonna wear out. Unfortunately for us, we can't rotate or replace our tires. And so you can do things like traditional chiropractic care, massage, stretching, physical therapy, and those all generally help, but the relief is usually short-lived, because if you never address that underlying cause, that neurological imbalance and that alignment issue, the muscles all go right back to what they're used to, and you're right back where you started. We'll see differences as well in muscle tone up and down the spine, differences in shoulder strength side by side, and it'll actually all be impacted just based on how you turn your head. Because when you're turning your head, you're changing the position of that bone, you're changing the pressure on the nervous system. Now, the other thing that's unique here is our brainstem houses all the centers for things we don't think about. So heart rate, blood pressure, blood sugar levels, hormone levels, that's all maintained here. So if this bone's out of place enough, it can actually impact those systems. So for example, we'll see patients who've had, say, high blood pressure for 3, 4, 5 years. They've been trying different medications, they can't get it down, and we'll do this adjustment, remove that interference, and their blood pressure will finally start to be able to come back down, because the brain now has control of the body again the way it was designed to. Another unique thing about this area is that a large portion of our blood supply to the brain goes through the atlas. So if this bone rotates enough, it'll actually occlude some of that normal blood flow and can trigger those throbbing type headaches and migraines. So we know that this bone, this area, has a major impact on your entire health and wellness. So if, based on the exam and screen, there are imbalances that we can measure and you'd actually be able to feel, then what we do next is get very specific measurements, very specific pictures and x-rays, so I can measure to 1/100th of a degree exactly how that bone's misaligned. And with that information, I can then use a sound wave to gently move it back in place. Again, we don't need all the twisting, cracking, popping. We don't need all that force because it's not locked in. Immediately after your first adjustment, I'll actually take 2 post x-rays to be able to measure and compare and make sure we got the correction we're looking for. This allows us to fine tune the treatment to get you the best results going forward. Again, my goal here is not to have you constantly coming back for treatment. I'd rather you be in alignment, doing the things properly on your own, staying active, exercising, not feeling like you have to come back here. If you're doing all the right stuff and you're feeling good, we don't need you here. We don't want you to spend your time here. That's our goal. So we try and get to a point where we see people maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And oftentimes during those visits, they don't even need a treatment or an adjustment. That's our goal. Now during the initial stage, we'll spend a little bit more time working together, seeing you a little more frequently as we're creating that change. And we'll understand what that looks like for you based on your initial appointment and any exam and x-rays. Now for that initial appointment, we do charge a consultation fee of $47, which will then be applied to any exam and x-rays that are done that day. If you have any questions, feel free to give the front office a call. As far as your next steps, when you call back, the front office, the front desk, they'll schedule you an appointment, they'll take that payment over the phone and find that best time that works for you. I'm really looking forward to meeting you here in the office and getting you started on that new path towards a new life. Thank you.